When we talk about Hollywood stars, we often imagine glamorous red carpets, flashing cameras, and a life that seems almost untouchable. But behind the glitz and glamour, even the brightest stars carry their own struggles. And for Euphoria actress Sydney Sweeney, the past year has been a whirlwind of emotional challenges, personal heartbreak, and incredible professional triumphs. The 27-year-old actress, best known for her breakout roles in Euphoria, The White Lotus, and her recent string of films, was quietly navigating one of the most difficult personal moments of her life, the end of her 7-year relationship with fiancé Jonathan Davino. Their love story, which began long before Sydney became a household name, had always been one of the few constants in her fast-paced Hollywood life. For years, Davino was seen as her rock, someone who kept her grounded while she climbed the ladder of stardom. But earlier this year, their engagement came to an end, and the breakup left Sydney in uncharted territory, and yet, despite the heartbreak, the actress didn't let her personal life spill into her professional commitments. At the time, Sydney was working on the film The Housemaid, a psychological thriller directed by Paul Feig. Now, Paul Feig is a veteran in the industry, someone who has worked with some of the most talented names in Hollywood, so his perspective on Sydney's professionalism carries real weight. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Feig revealed just how impressed he was by her composure on set. She was completely present emotionally, Feig said. Just up for anything, and really didn't bring any issues to set. For anyone who has ever gone through a breakup, let alone the end of a long-term engagement, you know how consuming it can feel. And to be under the public microscope at the same time? That's a whole different level of pressure. Yet, Sydney carried herself with grace and focus, proving not only her dedication to her craft but also her resilience as a person. Feig admitted that even as rumors about Sydney's breakup began to circulate, he would check in on her. I'd say, "Hey, are you okay?" And she'd go, "I'm fine, I'm great," but not defensively. Those words paint a picture of someone who understood the importance of keeping her personal struggle separate from her work, someone who could channel her energy into performing at the highest level even while her heart was quietly breaking. For Sydney, film sets have always been more than just a workplace, they are her sanctuary. She admitted as much during the Wall Street Journal interview, explaining, "Being on set is my happy place." That one sentence says everything. For her, the camera, the characters, and the world of storytelling offered not just an escape, but a way to heal, to process, and to move forward. But of course, Sydney's decision to stay quiet about the breakup and avoid discussing her relationship in detail wasn't just about professionalism. It was also about protecting herself and her boundaries. Hollywood thrives on gossip, speculation, and the constant churning of rumors. By choosing to keep her private life private, Sydney was reclaiming control over her own narrative, a rare and powerful move in an industry that often tries to dictate the personal lives of its stars. At the same time, fans and media outlets began to speculate about her future, both professionally and personally. Would Sydney and Jonathan still work together? After all, the two co-founded the production company 50/50 Films in 2020. Would their professional relationship survive the breakup, or was this the end of an era for both of them? Sydney has so far remained silent on that question, choosing instead to focus solely on her work, and perhaps that silence says more than words ever could. At a time when her career is skyrocketing, when every project she touches seems to capture headlines, Sydney Sweeney is choosing to prioritize her craft, her growth, and her happiness. As Sydney Sweeney quietly closed the chapter on her 7-year relationship with Jonathan Davino, it didn't take long for the rumor mill to start spinning. After all, Sydney isn't just another actress, she's one of Hollywood's most in-demand stars, with her name constantly trending and her face plastered across magazine covers, red carpets, and movie posters. When someone like Sydney goes through a breakup, the world watches closely, eager to see what happens next, and what happened next was classic Hollywood: whispers of new romances, speculation about who might be capturing her attention, and plenty of tabloid headlines hinting at a love life in motion. In July, fans spotted Sydney jet skiing with a mystery man, and naturally, the internet went wild. Who was he? A new flame? A casual summer fling? For an actress who had been in such a long-term, private relationship, the sight of her with someone new was enough to fuel countless theories. Just a few months earlier, she was also linked to Machine Gun Kelly after the two were spotted spending time together in May. While nothing was ever confirmed, the pairing had fans raising eyebrows and gossip columns buzzing. But here's where Sydney stands apart from many of her Hollywood peers: she doesn't seem interested in feeding the gossip machine. While her name might be linked to different men, Sydney herself has made it clear that romance is not her current priority. In fact, she openly told interviewers that she is focused solely on her work, and that being on set is where she feels happiest, and that, perhaps, is what makes Sydney's story so compelling. Instead of letting her breakup define her, she is redefining herself on her own terms. She's not rushing to fill the void with a new relationship, nor is she allowing the press to corner her into answering questions about her personal life. Instead, she's putting all of her energy into her career, embracing the work she loves and using it as a vehicle to move forward. Still, Sydney's new independence has been striking. In a recent interview with the Sunday Times, she shared how her post-breakup life has been transformative. "I'm learning a lot about myself, spending more time with my friends," she explained. "And I'm loving it." That one statement shows a woman who isn't broken by her split, but rather reborn by it. It's a story as old as Hollywood itself, heartbreak followed by reinvention, but Sydney is putting her own authentic spin on it. The actress, who once shared her professional world with her fiancé through their production company 50/50 Films, is now standing firmly in her independence. That doesn't just mean creatively, it also means personally. For someone who entered Hollywood's fast-paced lifestyle in her early 20s, Sydney is finally learning what it means to prioritize herself, her passions, and her personal happiness, and in true Hollywood fashion, the media has had a field day. Outlets have debated everything from her rumored romances to her revenge glow-up, analyzing every outfit, every appearance, and every Instagram post. But what makes Sydney different is how unbothered she appears by all of it. Unlike so many celebrities who try to fight the gossip or issue clarifications, she has chosen to let her work speak louder than the noise. Just 27, Sydney Sweeney is navigating the most pivotal moment of her personal and professional life. And while her breakup with Jonathan Davino was undoubtedly painful, it seems to have unlocked a new chapter in her journey, a chapter defined not by who she's dating, but by who she's becoming.
While Sydney Sweeney's personal life has taken a sharp turn with her split from Jonathan Davino, her professional life is skyrocketing to heights few young actresses ever reach. In fact, it seems as though every time Sydney faces a challenge off-screen, her career shines even brighter on screen. It's almost as if the universe is balancing her heartbreak with career-defining opportunities. From her breakout role as Cassie Howard in Euphoria to her Emmy-nominated performance in The White Lotus, Sydney has proven time and again that she's not just another Hollywood girl. She is a powerhouse actress capable of delivering raw vulnerability, magnetic intensity, and a screen presence that keeps audiences glued. With Euphoria set to continue and Cassie's chaotic story still unfolding, Sydney is sitting at the center of one of the most talked about shows of the decade. Then there's The White Lotus. Her role as Olivia Mossbacher, the sharp-tongued, aloof teen with a biting wit, showed the world that Sydney could command attention even in an ensemble cast filled with seasoned performers. Critics and fans alike raved about her ability to turn even subtle moments into scene-stealing ones. The Emmy nomination that followed was not just recognition, but confirmation. Sydney Sweeney had officially arrived as one of the most important young actresses of her generation, and that was just the beginning. Sydney has since expanded her filmography to include Reality, where she portrayed whistleblower reality winner, stunning audiences and critics with her uncanny transformation. She followed that with a leading role in Madam Web, stepping into the Marvel Universe and cementing her name in blockbuster territory. Hollywood no longer sees Sydney as just a rising star. She's now one of its brightest, most bankable talents. But perhaps the project that most mirrors her real life during this transition is The Housemaid. Filming while navigating the emotional weight of her breakup, Sydney somehow delivered a performance that her director, Paul Feig, described as completely present emotionally. He praised her professionalism, noting that she never brought her personal struggles to set. In fact, he went as far as to say that Sydney was up for anything, despite everything happening behind the scenes. That kind of dedication doesn't just make her a great actress, it makes her a force of nature. And Sydney isn't just focused on acting with her production company 50/50 Films. She's stepping behind the camera, shaping projects that matter to her. Even though her partnership with Jonathan Davino was part of that company's foundation, Sydney has made it clear that she will continue building it on her own terms. This isn't just about stardom, it's about ownership, longevity, and carving a space for herself in an industry that often tries to control women rather than empower them. For Sydney, work isn't just a distraction from heartbreak, it's her passion, her lifeline, and her safe space. She said it herself, being on set is her happy place, and when you look at her body of work, it's easy to see why. Each role isn't just another line on her resume, it's another layer of proof that she's here to stay. At 27 years old, Sydney is doing what many actresses twice her age dream of, leading blockbuster films, earning award nominations, running her own company, and dominating both television and cinema. And she's doing it all while keeping her personal struggles private, showing the world that she refuses to let heartbreak slow her down. In many ways, Sydney Sweeney is turning her breakup into her breakthrough. The more she grows personally, the more unstoppable she becomes professionally. And if this is what she can accomplish while navigating Sydney Sweeney's story today is not just about a breakup, and it's not just about a string of Hollywood successes. It's about transformation. It's about a young woman standing at a crossroads, choosing to put herself first and showing the world what resilience really looks like. For years, Sydney's relationship with Jonathan Davino was seen as stable, even grounding. They were together for 7 years, engaged for 3. And unlike many celebrity couples, they largely kept their romance out of the spotlight. To fans, it seemed like she had struck that rare balance: Hollywood stardom on one side and a quiet, supportive personal life on the other. But when news broke that their engagement had ended, many were shocked. And yet, Sydney's response was not what you'd expect from someone going through such a public heartbreak. There were no dramatic interviews, no cryptic social media posts, no public feuds. Instead, she let her silence speak volumes. Sydney chose her work. She chose her friendships. She chose herself. She openly admitted in interviews that she's been learning a lot about herself since the breakup, spending more time with friends and rediscovering what makes her happiest. That's a rare and powerful thing for a young star in Hollywood, where the industry often feeds on personal drama. Instead of becoming another headline about a woman defined by her failed engagement, Sydney flipped the script. She became the headline about a woman thriving in spite of it. And that's exactly why fans love her. Sydney Sweeney represents something bigger than just fame. She represents the new generation of women in Hollywood who refuse to be boxed in by stereotypes. She can be vulnerable on screen, but off screen, she's strong, strategic, and unapologetically focused on her goals. She can be glamorous on the red carpet one night and then be spotted on set the next morning, grinding through long hours without missing a beat. In many ways, Sydney's personal and professional journeys are intertwined. The same emotional depth that makes her characters unforgettable also makes her relatable as a woman navigating real-life heartbreak. The same strength that drives her to lead a film set is the strength that helps her rebuild after the end of a 7-year relationship. It's all connected, and it's all shaping her into someone who is not just an actress, but an icon in the making. As she steps into this new chapter of her life, Sydney is proving that independence can be just as powerful as romance. She doesn't need to rely on a partner to define her success or her happiness. She's creating a life where love is important, yes, but where self-love, passion, and ambition take center stage. And that's a message that resonates with millions of fans around the world, especially young women who see themselves in her story. So what comes next for Sydney Sweeney? More blockbuster roles, more career milestones, more control over her own narrative. But perhaps the most important thing is that she's writing her story her way, without compromise, without apology, and without fear of starting over. Sydney's breakup with Jonathan Davino might have closed one chapter in her life, but it has opened another one filled with opportunity, empowerment, and reinvention. And if the last few years are any indication, Sydney isn't just surviving Hollywood, she's redefining it. For fans watching from the outside, it's clear this isn't the downfall of a young actress in love. This is the rise of a woman who knows exactly who she is, what she wants, and how to get it. Sydney Sweeney isn't just navigating heartbreak, she's turning it into fuel for the next stage of her unstoppable journey. And in Hollywood, that's the ultimate power move. Power move.